Hi everybody, it's Mr. Stevens here. We are going to jump right back into Son of the Morning Star, Custer and the Little Bighorn by Evan S. Connell. Hope you guys are still enjoying it. I know that I am. And we are going to jump right back in where we left off in the last video. We were talking about Crazy Horse. So without further ado, let's jump in. When he was about 18, he participated in a fight against some Arapos trapped on a rocky knoll. Several times he charged them. He killed two, but unwisely scalped them, either forgetting or ignoring the fact that the warrior in his vision kept no scalps. And because in this respect he had violated the message of his presiding spirit, an arrow struck him in the leg. His bravery against these Arapos was celebrated, and in recognition of what he had done, he received his father's name, Crazy Horse. His father, the Oglala holy man, thereafter called himself Worm. So runs the most credible account of how Crazy Horse acquired the name. It has been said also that while taking a steam bath with his father and a war chief named Hump, he grew dizzy and saw the apparition. When he told the older men about it, they said he had seen a vision of himself. Then there is a popular legend that during his birth a wild pony galloped by his mother's lodge. If the first story is correct, as many historians believe, one might reasonably ask how his father got the name Crazy Horse, and once upon a time, no doubt, that question could have been answered. A few years after the fight with the Arapos, a medicine man named Chips created a charm for the young warrior, a small white stone suspended from a thong. This thong probably was slung across one shoulder so that the magic stone nestled under his left arm. The charm was devised in 1862 or 1863, and after he began wearing it, he was never again wounded, although a number of ponies were killed beneath him, strangely duplicating the luck of his blue-jacketed doppelganger, Custer. About this time, one of Red Cloud's nieces, Black Buffalo Woman, was married to a violent man whose name usually is translated No Water or No Face. He is said to have been a jealous husband, but young Crazy Horse, whose eyes looked beyond things, ignored such inconsequential matters. Stories of his involvement with the wife of No Water, No Face have been told so many times that it becomes palimpsest, erased, scraped, and revised until the original truth cannot be perceived. William Bordeaux, whose information came from elderly relatives, said that Crazy Horse eloped with No Water's wife as a way of getting even for some infra-tribal dispute. The infuriated husband caught up with them and fired a shot which grazed the cheek of Crazy Horse. These two men began wrestling, but were separated by the famous 7-foot warrior Touch the Clouds. At last, to avoid further trouble, Crazy Horse relinquished his prize. Or he might have fallen in love with her when she was single, because it is said that while he was on a raiding expedition in Crow territory, she got married, perhaps at the urging of Red Cloud. When Crazy Horse returned and found out about this, he went into his mother's lodge and did not emerge for several days. Then he visited Crow territory again, alone, and when he got back he flung 2 crow scalps to the dogs. He took no more scalps for the rest of his life. When he was a youth, wild with excitement, he scalped 2 Arapos and 2 crows for some reason that cannot logically be understood. This is the consensus of scholars. However, Captain John Bourke of Crook's 3rd Cavalry states that he himself owned a shirt trimmed with scalps which had been the property of Crazy Horse. How many trophies dangled from it, Bourke does not say. This shirt, presumably the same, used to be on exhibit at the Fort Robinson Museum. Perhaps it did belong to the famous Oglala, although such vanity would not have been characteristic. At any rate, he was unable to forget Black Buffalo Woman. Finally, when she had 3 children, he showed her how much he cared for her by giving a feast, whereupon she deposited her children with relatives, told her husband goodbye, and moved in with Crazy Horse. This was permissible. A Sioux woman could change her mind about husbands, and just as in other societies, the jilted husband was expected to behave decently. No Water did not. He entered the lodge of the newlyweds while they were eating, and he shot his rival in the jaw. The bullet was meant to catch Crazy Horse between the eyes, and a second bullet might have followed, except for the presence of Touch the Clouds. No Water was rebuked for this assault, and because of it, he, not Crazy Horse, had violated Sioux tribal structures. He was therefore expected to apologize by offering a gift of ponies, which he did. His gift was accepted, so the feud should have ended. It did not. One day Crazy Horse attacked No Water, and as a result he himself was disgraced. Some very old Oglalas who had known the chief were interviewed by Eleanor Hinman in 1930. The account given by He-Dog of this fight in the lodge and of what followed is the most detailed that exists. He-Dog, narrating the story through interpreter John Kolhoff, said that Crazy Horse and Black Buffalo Woman were seated by the fire in a friend's lodge when No Water rushed in and cried, "I have come." Crazy Horse jumped up, reaching for his knife. No Water shot him beneath the left nostril. The bullet broke his upper jaw and he collapsed into the fire. No Water then left the tent and told his companions that he had killed Crazy Horse. No Water had been riding a fast mule when he came looking for revenge, but he did not ride away when he learned that his bullet had only wounded Crazy Horse. He disappeared. Friends of Crazy Horse tried to find him because they wanted to kill him. When they could not find him, they killed his mule. After things had calmed down, No Water sent Crazy Horse 2 very good ponies, a roan and a bay. They avoided each other until one day near the mouth of the Bighorn, where both of them were hunting buffalo. No Water jumped on a buckskin belonging to somebody else and rode off as fast as he could. Crazy Horse chased him all the way to Yellowstone. After such a narrow escape, No Water went south to the Red Cloud Agency and stayed there with the Indians who loafed around. That was where he stayed during the war with the soldiers. Black Buffalo Woman had a 4th child, a light-haired girl, and He-Dog said many people believe this child was the daughter of Crazy Horse, quote, but it was never known for certain. So, one way or another, the fight between these 2 dangerous men concluded. Black Buffalo Woman may have gathered her children and returned to her husband. At least it is known she and Crazy Horse separated. As for Crazy Horse himself, the passion he felt may have given way to self-disgust. All in all, it had been a messy business. When he was about 26, he married Black Shawl or Black Robe, not with much enthusiasm. His parents might have arranged it. They lived together and had a daughter. Then Black Shawl developed tuberculosis, which was a common disease, and after that she stayed at her parents' lodge, gradually declining. The baby died of cholera, while Crazy Horse was once again harassing the Crows. When he got back and learned about this, he fell apart. The Oglala camp had moved during his absence, and the infant's body had been left on a scaffold now 70 miles away. He rode off to find it. A frontier character named Frank Grorard, who lived with the Oglalas for several years, claimed to have accompanied Crazy Horse on this pilgrimage. Grorard is not dependable, at least his biography is not, so the account must be read with suspicion, but Grorard said that Crazy Horse mounted the scaffold, lay down beside his daughter's body, which was wrapped in a buffalo robe, and remained there for 3 days. It sounds like Juana la Loca, the Mad Queen of Spain, who opened her young husband's coffin and tore apart the shroud to kiss his feet. After the death of his little girl, he became indifferent to his own life, taking unreasonable chances, and frequently left the village without revealing what he meant to do. During this period, quite a few solitary miners panning the Black Hills for gold were found dead, but not scalped, each with an arrow driven into the ground beside the corpse. Any wandering Sioux might have killed these men and disdained their scalps, but the presence of that symbolic arrow implies an unusual mind. He was always strange, Black Elk said, and he grew more strange. People would see him outside the village, alone and cold. Quote, once my father found him out alone like that, and he said to my father, "Uncle, you have noticed me the way I act, but do not worry. There are caves and holes for me to live in, and out here the spirits may help me. I am making plans for the good of my people." He always was a queer man. 10 or 12 years after his marriage to Black Shawl, he married a French Cheyenne girl, Nellie Larrivee. Except for No Water's wife, he does not seem to have pursued women. Instead, he seems merely to have accepted them, yielding to their presence. His sister told about seeing a woman enter his lodge and speak to Black Shawl, who was sewing a robe. The side of the lodge had been rolled up because of the heat, which made it possible to listen and watch. Crazy Horse returned while they were talking. The unfamiliar woman met him at the entrance, saying, quote, "I am Joe Larravee's daughter, so I am part white. I have heard about your great deeds, for my father has told us about you and your victory over Longhair. He says that you are worthy to be the mate of any woman, and though I realize that you already have a wife, I picked this day to offer myself to you for your second mate. I have taken the matter up with your wife, and she has consented." He replied that he thought she was sincere, quote, "So bring your belongings and be as one with my family." Okay, we will stop there for the day. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying it, like I said at the beginning. And I look forward to continuing reading to you guys. And we will see you in the next video. Bye, guys!